Alright, welcome back YouTube. I'm making part 3 of this the tutorial series. Thank you for the positive feedback. I'm really liking it. And I found out the one of the issues with my microphone. For some reason it's a static, and it's apparently a common problem with the Turtle Beach X11. All I do is tap the microphone every once in a while when it gets staticky. I don't hear any static now, but when I do, I will tap the microphone, so watch out for random, like, odd sounds. Alright. I've completed my P40 a couple weeks ago. It's been a while since I finished up this tutorial series, but finished it up. It doesn't look any different than it did, except I finished all the animations. And we'll play through all of them. Equip. It's supposed to be melee and then reload. It's really nice. I do good jobs with my weapons. A lot of competitors out there though. But I think I top it off with realism. Other people say, oh, realism, that's stupid, that you get over all that. Well, realism's good for me, and other people like it too. Alright, so here's the weapon we started working on earlier. Same thing, nothing different. Don't mind any other noises around here. It's in the middle of the day on school week. You're going to hear buses, you're going to hear kids yelling, you're going to hear stupid stuff like that. Alright. Seems decent. We got our stuff together. And joints. Alright. I don't remember if I attached joints or not. Let me see. Yep, I did attach joints. Watch this second video to make sure that you have everything done before I start. Now, we got everything set up. Materials, all these set up. Now let's go into making the model and have an animation. Now, I'm going to do a simple when you fire, the gun goes back a little bit. Won't be much of a problem. So, you want to double click the joint you want to click. In this case, we'll start with the trigger because we don't want to move the trigger while the gun is in a rotated position. It's going to be harder and it's going to be a little odd looking at. So let's select the trigger first. Now, for me, I would unselect this so that this can move. If you move this up, it won't move. It's frozen and without moving in the Y direction. Now, zoom in. Oh, I forgot one of the main parts of this. Click your first keyframe. Click Animate, Set Keyframe. Notice that changed. Bring it over. Now you're ready to animate. Alright, right in here. Press that in a bit. Just barely. Press the trigger in enough so that it's just sticking out. Animate, Set Keyframe. Now, I'll be lazy and I'll do Animate, Copy Keyframe. Bring this over. Bring it over to keyframe after. Animate paste keyframe. See how it's the same position as it was in already? Animate set keyframe, and now you have a fire animation of some sort. So make it go to that. Some sort of trigger pulling going on here. Alright. Now, this is optional. I recommend that you do the trigger thing. It's kind of cool. Default gun even has animations like that. If you want a little more cool looking gun, you can. I would do this if you don't want to use the default animations. I don't use default animations. They look a little cheesy on guns. So here's what you'll do. You'll take the main mount point, or whatever joint you have attached to everything. Basically like the structure, the beginning of them all. See how they're all attached when we made them in the last video. And you want to take it, push it back, and rotate it, like as if you're shooting it. Maybe not push it down, we'll push it back down again. Animate, set keyframe. Alright. Push it back a little bit, not all the way, so it isn't as fast. Animate, set keyframe, go back to the beginning, animate, copy keyframe. Go to the last frame, which doesn't have the yellow. I'm not professional in understanding everything about the program, but if it's yellow, I'm going to guess that it already has something assigned. So animate set keyframe. Yep, that's probably what it is. So if we look now, you should have some sort of fire animation going on here. Should be pretty cool for a cheesy looking gun to have an animation like that, but you got the idea. So if you put in slow motion, you should be able to see everything up close. So you got your first gun. It's all animated. This is the most you're going to want to work with if you're just beginning. Most beginners don't even get this thing extreme. They just make a stick and a cylinder and then they call it a gun. That's all that I've ever seen, and unless you really jump in. But I'm giving the better of both worlds by giving you animating techniques that are easy and giving the model basics and some extruding. But I've been asked to make a video on the basics of Milkshape. Apparently not too many people know how to use the basics, so I'm going to cover that. Even though I've watched a few tutorials myself on how to do stuff, might as well make one so other people can watch all my videos at once. Alright, so animations are done. Don't need to be in there. Now what we didn't do is we renamed all the groups. What I do is I just name it by, I name it individual letters, and if I exceed every letter on my keyboard, I will name it double letters. So let's say I have one is Q, and let's say, just pretend I went all the way to M. Now, you're going to want to do QQ. This is just how I do it. If you want to name, I recommend that you name every group according to what it does and what it is. Like barrel, name it barrel. Magazine, name it the magazine, name that group magazine. Simple stuff like that. But I don't want to spend too much time. I'm just going to name it like this. Make sure auto smooth is checked. Zoom out just for when you save so you can see the gun. Like isometric kind of view looking right here. It's kind of cool. Okay, so joints are all set. Materials are decent. You don't need to name materials unless you like to organize better. Those are all named. All this is set up. Alright. Also, I'm going to go over this in beginning video. Alright. Select your group. Make sure, or Control A. I recommend Control A if you haven't seen, if you're not going to see my beginning tutorial how to work, because I'll show you how to set my options the way I do, so you can just select everything. Because otherwise, I've seen you only select one side. Alright. Make sure all smooth is checked. File, save. Do not save after this. It'll be better in the long run if you don't. Watch carefully every step. Vertex. Unweld. Uncheck auto smooth. Tools. Tile texture mapper. Click cubic. Okay. This is the flat shading part. You need it to make your gun look good in game. Never bust, don't worry. Alright. Alright, vertex, weld together. You're done. Now don't save. Do not save. If you want to edit your gun in the future after you've already made that, then don't save. Unless you're really done with the gun, then I guess you can save. Doesn't matter, but I recommend you don't. File, export, Torque DDS Plus, not Torque Game Engine. Make sure it's Torque DDS Plus. You got this box. Shows all your meshes or your groups that you made over here, all your materials. Now, this you don't need these. Make sure that you just keep these. Now you want to add the fire animation, and you want to type in name, whatever name you want. I just use a generic fire, capital F. Make sure it's exactly like this in your sequences, otherwise it's not going to render. Right. Now the fire animations are 1 to 4. So frame 1 to frame 4. Should be simple enough. Now this is the glowing parts. This is just on my gun. You want to enable self-illuminating, and well, I don't know too much. Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does. Hopefully it works this time. You don't need glowing. Now you should be done. You got all the animation, and this. So you want to export DDS Plus, and I would save it as gun. Keep simplicity, just gun, and it's already set like that inside of the zip. file I provided in video 1, but if you want to change it to something fancy like troll gun, whatever, I don't care. Just name it something simple so you can name it inside of the CS file. Save it. Should load. If it doesn't do this and it gives you an error, you probably didn't name your groups, or you did something else. You might have also added a number to the end. Make sure that there is no number at the end before you export. When you export, it should be all zeros. Make sure you can. It's the render distance, so you can see it forever or whatever. Not exactly forever. Sorry. And when you go to export, on the right where it shows, well, on the left where it shows the groups, I'll show you again. Where it says LOD, make sure that all of them are zeros. I should have mentioned this before I did the exporting, but it's just for future reference. I doubt new models that you're making have that already, but alright, we're done with that. Don't make sure you click no, and I will see you guys in part 4. That will cover more complicated animations. No, actually, you know what? I'm gonna make a part 5. Part 4 is gonna cover packaging and making sure that it works in game, and working with the CS file a bit. Alright, see you guys then.